It's Emil Guillermo. Emil Amok to you. Welcome to my Takeout, my Emil Amok's Takeout. My takes on all things considerable. And I guess we're just going to wait. No, we're going to talk about the Senate and what the Senate did and what the House is doing, because that is the important thing, right? What is going on? But we're easily distracted. And so now all the news folks are talking about Diddy, like Diddy's important, but Diddy's not important. Oh, he is, but he's not. He's a distraction. Diddy's a distraction. Anyway, I'm here to say Emil Amok is at the Winnipeg Fringe. Winnipeg, that's in Canada. July 16th through the 27th. I do my show, Emil Amok, 69. Yeah, act your age, Emil. Yeah, Emil Amok, 69, at the Winnipeg Fringe. If you must know, is it a sex act? Is it a freak off? Is it? You're going to have to see. We're not streaming it, but it's going to be in if you're in Winnipeg, and those of you in the Midwest know that that's Manitoba, which sounds kind of Manitoba. I've never been to Manitoba. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm calling it my 51st state tour. I'm not going to say where I stand on that, but I'm sure the Manitobans will help me with my conclusion about what should happen. But of course, there's a guy here in the United States who wants Canada to be the 51st state. So it should be an interesting time. The Winnipeg Fringe, it's a big festival. I'm going there. I didn't get to Ottawa, and I didn't get to Toronto and Montreal because they're all lotteries. Canada's a lottery. You got to get into these fringes. It's not like applying to Harvard even. They just take your show. So I'll be at the Winnipeg Fringe July 16th to 27th. If you're looking at me right now on YouTube, you can go to the link there and get tickets to see my show, Emil Amok 69. It'd be great to have you there, see me live. I'm a comic monologist. And I stand up most of the time. So that makes me a stand-up, I guess. I perform, I tell. I mean, this is like a talk show. Because I was a talk show host in Washington, D.C., in Sacramento, in San Francisco. So I like to do talk. This is a talk show in the traditional talk show way. You know, like if Rush Limbaugh were to come back as a Filipino, somewhat left-leaning person, because, you know, he gets reincarnated and maybe he had the good karma to be uplifted to Filipino from Rolla, Missouri, or wherever he's from, Springfield. But this is talk radio. It's kind of performative, but mostly it's talk, and we talk about the news. We're going to get to the news. But I want to talk about this Fringe because I'd like you to go there. I'd like you to see me. Winnipeg Fringe, July 16th through 27th. And if you're seeing me now, just go to winnipegfringe.com and go to where the tickets are and put my name, Emil Amok, and then you'll get the ticket information that you need. Okay? So there, the Winnipeg Fringe. I'll leave that up so you can see. The big story is really the Diddy trial. And I was really kind of surprised, right? Because they had a verdict on 4, but not 5 counts. And the 5th count, or the most important count, is the racketeering, the RICO charge. And people are saying no to RICO and yes to FRICO because they came back and deliberated, the jury, and they found Sean Combs not guilty. I'm a little surprised by that because you would figure maybe they'd have all the 4, you know, they'd be guilty, and then they just have the RICO charge. You know, that was the big one. But actually, they were kind of split on all the other charges. So the ones that have to do with force, he was found not guilty, and so those are the big ones that carry like a 20 sentence, a 20-year max sentence. So he he was guilty on the lesser charges that only carry a 10-year each sentence. So I don't know if he's going to serve much time at all. He's a first offender and all that. He skirts by the RICO charge, which could have given him life. And a lot of people, the analysts are saying, well, you got a one-man thing. Where's the syndicate? Where are your accessories? Where's your network of people? I don't think it was that hard. It would have been that hard to prove, but it was hard to communicate that to the jury that you didn't need an enterprise, the criminal enterprise. You could be a one-man, you could be a solopreneur, but they didn't like that. They didn't see that as racketeering. In the meantime, everyone's looking at all the evidence and say, well, forget about racketeering, forget about prostitution. We know that what Sean, we see the video, what Sean Diddy Combs did to his girlfriends. And we've got the Intercontinental Hotel video that, he beats up his girlfriend, Cassie. We know that she did not just show up on her own. I mean, she had to be subpoenaed by the feds. So this, it's a lot of people are saying, did they charge the right thing? Did the feds do the right thing? Did they go after Sean Combs, or did they overreach? Did they think, oh, he's a celebrity, we're going to get him? And they didn't. So what do we have here? We have Sean Diddy Combs as essentially the Black Trump, right? I mean, look, he's going to serve some jail time, but not 10 years. And like I said, first time offender, he's not going to get life. He'll serve a couple years, and he'll be the kingpin wherever he is. They're trying to figure out if they should give him bail. There was a letter from one of the attorneys, the victim's attorneys, that said people are going to be scared. This man represents a danger to these victims, to the people who testified. I kind of believe that. I don't know if the judge is going to take that to heart, or well, he's going to take it to heart, but I don't know how much that's going to contribute to him saying, yeah, let him go out on bail. Certainly, Combs' lawyers they're going to argue that he's not a flight risk. You don't know. I think that's the thing. We don't know. You could say, yeah, he's going to act like an angel. He's going to kneel down at the court. He's going to praise his mom and kiss her and hug all his family members. He's a good guy, right? On the day that he was found not guilty to the most severe count. But does that mean he's not going to do it again? I don't know. See, the lead for the AP was Sean Diddy Combs dropped to his knees and prayed in the courtroom after he was acquitted Wednesday of sex trafficking and racketeering charges that could have put one of hip-hop's celebrated figures behind bars for life. So this is a victory, right? For him. He could have been put away for life. Yet, on the other hand, what did it show about how he treats women? What did the evidence show about his regard for women, their autonomy, their... this was not a domestic violence case. This was not an abuse case. And I think a lot of people are scratching their heads and saying, I thought he was guilty. Oh, this wasn't about abuse and domestic violence. No. This was about racketeering, conspiracy. Not guilty. Sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Not guilty. Sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. Not guilty. Those are the big ones. Those are like maximum life sentence. And then the ones that he was found guilty of are the 5. Transportation for purposes of prostitution, max 10, guilty. Transportation for purposes of prostitution, max 10 years, guilty. It's like being the Uber driver. It's like, how about beating up the woman? No? That's not what we're talking about. That wasn't the issue. And a lot of people are shaking their heads because is there anyone after that trial who doesn't think that Sean Diddy Combs is a bad guy who's now free? I mean, the lawyers even said at the beginning, look, no doubt he's a bad guy. We're his lawyers. We're saying he's a bad guy. And they said that, his lawyers. Yeah, but RICO charges, sex trafficking. Bring up a charge against, for domestic violence or something. But RICO? But the prosecutors wanted to go for the home run. They swung for the fences. They were going for maximum sentence of life in prison. They were going for it, and they were going for three counts. Force, fraud, coercion, sex trafficking. Not guilty. So I was watching the trial, with one eye, because there were other things in the world going on. Like the world was falling apart. Iran, Iraq, Qatar giving jets to Donald Trump. L.A. under siege. Waymo's being burned up in downtown L.A. I mean, there were things going on. So I was watching selectively. What I noticed is that there's some pretty salacious stuff that goes on in Sean Diddy Combs' life that I'm sure is going to continue. It's going to happen again. I'm sure he's not going to invite me to any freak-offs, and not that I'd go, but, I might want to say, hey, well, I'll just go as a reporter. But I don't know. I think that what we've learned about Diddy is that he likes to watch. He's a voyeur. Hey, that sounds just like Donald Trump. He likes to watch. The January 6th insurrection. He watched Fox until he came out and said, hey, go home now. He was took 3 hours to watch television. He was like an arsonist. And wouldn't you know, that's sort of the way it is now. Second term. He sets all these fires, lets people react. He watches. And I don't know if he's all there. Now, some reporters are pointing out that what Trump is doing doesn't make sense. And that they're wondering, what is going on with Trump? I mean, if this were Joe Biden, people would be all over Joe Biden for being somewhat, not all there. But they give a pass to Trump. 79 years old. They just give him a pass. But a lot of the things just don't make sense. You see what he responds. He doesn't listen. You see how he answers questions. The only person in the mainstream media who seems to be on this case, on this point, is Lawrence O'Donnell over at MSNBC. But he points it out. It's true. You look at it and you say, oh my God, he's right. Why aren't the other members of the Washington media jumping all over these shortcomings of Donald Trump? I mean, maybe that'll explain some of the lies. Oh, I'm not cutting Medicaid. We're not touching Medicaid. I'm touching it. I'm touching it. I'm touching Medicaid. Oh, I'm not touching Medicaid. Oh, I'm touching it. I'm touching it. I'm really touching it. The transfer of power of this. Someone called it reverse Robin Hood. I was trying to figure out a way to indicate that, because it is, Robin Hood robs from the rich to give to the poor. Oh, that's a nice Robin Hood. This is the bad Robin Hood. Robs from the poor to give to the rich. It's like the evil twin. And that, I think that's what we have here with the case of Donald Trump. We have the evil twin time with whatever Donald Trump does. It's everything is... But Diddy he's I don't want to say, let's not say he's not a free man. Diddy is not a free man. At least, they'll decide whether or not he has bail and he can go free pending sentencing. But he will be sentenced. And what that means, don't know. I just know that if you were watching the trial, if you're a woman, you had to be pretty upset. This is the way it always happens, right? If you were truly looking out, triumph, good and evil, maybe the law worked for Diddy, but it did not work for Cassie Ventura. So, let's see, the jury, I haven't seen any of the jurors talk. 8 men, 4 women. That would seem, well, they had a jury that was uncertain yesterday, and then they came back, and then there was unanimous. So I'm curious to see who the first juror will be to kind of spill the beans and let us know what was going on. Because I think it says something about law and order in this country. In terms of hip-hop culture, Sean Diddy Combs ends up being a hero, right? He beat the government. The government wanted to get him. He beat them. But he's still a bad guy. It's almost like, I don't know. He may not be... He may not go into the mainstream circles that he used to go into, where big companies, giving him money and backing and letting him, endorse and, just, he may not be able to do business there, but he is King Outlaw. He should be seen as King Outlaw, and some aspects of hip hop culture will revere that and say, yeah, he beat the man. So, good day for Diddy Combs. Bad day for women, bad day for those who want justice, but I would blame the prosecutors. This was not a domestic violence, a domestic abuse case. This was RICO, a RICO case. They're popular now. People want to go after RICO, but the way it's been communicated, to have a RICO enterprise, you need like a group. You need like 1, 2, 3. You need a gang, right? This ended up being, gang of one, and his insatiable appetites, but didn't convince a jury. And now we'll see how Sean Diddy Combs conducts himself in life, because he has his life back. Ultimately, he's still going to be like I said, he might have a couple of years. He might get probation, first-time offender. But if he gets bail, the life he had before he was arrested goes on. And that's something worth thinking about. All right, so that's my take on the Diddy thing. Bad guys win, I guess, right? He certainly is. He's Black Trump, really. Or is Trump black? Is Trump White Diddy? Is he White Diddy? The other news is the House has picked up on the Big Ugly. It is the Big Ugly. And I don't know how anyone in the House could live, well, how anyone in the Senate could live with themselves for not being that extra person needed. They needed a fifth vote. If Murkowski was going to carve out, they needed a fifth vote. She was the fourth, and then went over to Trump after she carved out Alaska. They needed a fifth Republican who was principled enough to say, yeah, I'm gonna back the people. I mean, that's what this is about, right? Murkowski carved out Alaska, and well, it was a rule that said the Medicaid cuts would not apply to to non-contiguous states. Contiguous meaning, together, right? So the lower 48, that's their problem. They meant Hawaii, Alaska, exempt. Skillful in a way, but Trumpian as hell. Self-serving as hell. She wasn't thinking about the people. What about me in California? What about me in Utah? Me in Nevada? Me? Sorry. What happened to your rep? Why didn't he speak out for you? And keep in mind, we're talking Medicaid. It's called Medi-Cal in California. Just to add to the confusion. It's not Medicare yet, but this is what we call the slippery slope. You start cutting these things and you find ways in which you can make it hard for people to get the benefits they deserve. That means you get picky about whether or not your paperwork is in order. You want to see the swamp at work? You want to see the bureaucracy at work? Well, they're going to vet the heck out of you. Every T crossed and I dotted, this form and that form. And a lot of people, and you know this, they get into a situation like that, they just throw up their hands and say, I don't want any part of this. I'm out of here. I know I've done that a couple of times on things that were important. I didn't have the patience for it. I didn't want to. I'd had it. So that's how people can lose that. And then, of course, it's going to, like 12 million people are going to be affected. They won't be able to get care. They won't be able to. And sometimes it's going to be a passive-aggressive thing. It's not going to be because you didn't fill out a form. It's because, there's no money. We didn't fund it. There's no money. And then there's, you got to work to get this benefit. Oh, but I'm sick. No. You got to work in order to qualify. I mean, sickness doesn't qualify you for whether or not you deserve it or whether or not it's a benefit you get You got to work. And, if you're 80, you're disabled, what happens then? I can't work. It's the mean America. America under Trump is, well, Trump had his, I want to say allies, but it was Doge and it was Elon Musk that went after USAID, which shut its doors yesterday. USAID, foreign aid, essentially, has always been on the radar of people who wanted to get rid of something in the budget. They never did because it's such a small amount. It doesn't add up. It's such a minuscule amount. Everything that Trump wants to hold up is, oh, I killed this. Not that much. I mean, but it does have an outsized impact if you give money to poor countries. It works as a diplomatic thing. It works as goodwill. It works as an example to the world. We're not interested in that anymore. That's why you do it, right? Soft power. We're not interested in that. Rather take the money, put it in the pockets of your billionaire buddies. That's it. Or let's say it's going to be top 60%, the bottom 40 of America. They're going to get hit. And this is a transfer of wealth from the bottom 40 to the upper 60 and beyond. And mostly to the top, right? Top 1 to 5%. I say the top 60 because there's some middle class people who will benefit to a degree. But according to reports, we're seeing there's going to be tax increases for most people, about 7-8%. But the wealthiest, top 1%, they'll get something like upwards of $400,000 tax breaks. It's a mean bill. It's a mean America. But it's Trump's America. And this is it's a mean America, and it's going to be meaner because, what did Trump do yesterday when he didn't want to talk about the bill? He talked about alligator Alcatraz, which when I first heard, I said, what's he doing talking about alligator Alcatraz? He thinks this big ugly bill is a beautiful thing. Why doesn't he just keep talking about the bill? Because it's not about the bill. It's about getting immigrants out, getting people of color out, people of color who don't belong here in the United States. Of course, there will be mistakes. And people who are not criminals, people who are citizens, people who just look like they are foreigners will be caught up. And they already are. They're just being disappeared. So that's what, if the House races and passes this bill, that's what's going to happen. See more of that. And that really is the meat part of this. I mean, there's Medicaid, there's the national debt, which is going to be like 37 trillion. They're going to add like 3.3 trillion on top of 37 trillion. It's a bad bill for Americans. Cost of living is not going to be cheaper. I know that gas in California is high for a reason because of other taxes, but I realize for the first time in a long time, I paid into like $4 a gallon. So it's going to be tough. And this is the way it is under Trump. And he's normalizing this. It's important to let your member of Congress know that you're paying attention and you're going to let that person know when you vote. I mean, that's all we have. All we have is the vote. Take it seriously. Because a lot of people in November last year didn't take it as seriously. I'm talking about people of color, blacks, Hispanics, Asians. They voted for Trump. It was enough to give them the 1.5% margin of victory in the election. And it changed the course of our lives. If the House ends up passing this bill and it's signed on July 4th, that will be the irony of ironies. We celebrate July 4th, the signing of the Declaration of Independence, on the same day the worst president in United States history signs a bill that enslaves all Americans to this monster debt. And he does it willingly. Debt is all right. 37 trillion in debt is all right. Adding 3.3 trillion in debt is all right if you're able to give your buddies a tax break. Everyone has a price. For Donald Trump, the price was give your buddies a tax break and enslave the rest of America to this monster debt that will burden us for generations. If we have that long. If we have that long. Oh boy. All right. Hey, Emil Amok at the Winnipeg Fringe, July 16th through 27th. Check that out. Go to Winnipeg, Winnie, WINNIPEG, winnipegfringe.com. Put down Emil Amok and see how I'm going to be there July 16th through 27th in Canada. Canada's beautiful around that time. Looking forward to being in Manitoba. Yeah. So, thank you for tuning in. We're going to end the show here. Just thinking about how, and if I were a woman right now, I wouldn't be happy at all about the Diddy trial. But, well, I mean, it shouldn't matter, man or woman. You should just want justice. And some people would see all the stuff that was shown on TV reported and say, yeah, he's going down. But, you know, a lot of people said, oh, yeah, but what were the charges? And that RICO charge, while being very fashionable right now, to go for the RICO charge because it gives you the maximum sentence, you got to prove the thing. And they didn't. Anyway, we end with a little loving kindness because, yeah, Diddy showed love for the world today. He dropped down to his knees. He prayed. I guess that's a form of penance. But, you know, there's some people just, if they revered him in the past, they revere him even more because he beat the feds. He beat the feds. All right, we like to have a little loving kindness meditation. And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Not baby oil. Ease. Emil Guillermo here. Emil Amok. Till next.